This is Matt. Once again, we are refocusing Barbados. We deal with the issues. We comment on the concerns of the Barbadian public, and we try to look at them as fairly as possible. But this week I want to look at something which has caused a lot of Barbadians to be a bit angry. And the language that I have heard used in relation to this Sun article, the front page article, the Sun of February 1st, 2015, was interesting. The language was very, very colorful, used by persons who would have seen the article. So colorful that I will not even attempt to use some of the language because I don't speak that way. That's not my Nichols. But when I saw this article, immediately in my mind I highlighted some of the things that I've spoken about recently. And some of the comments that were associated with this article tells me that I haven't been wrong in my analysis of our society when I say that our country has become very, very, very cynical about politics, and in particular the political class and the culture that has developed, and how that class and culture has affected a political process that was designed to develop people through education, and how it has now become very self-serving. And in looking at and reading this article, at the heart of this is something very diabolical, very evil. You see, and what you say is diabolical because it hurts the very people that it has pledged to protect. So on the one hand, you're saying I will protect you, look after your interests, but you don't see or understand my actions. But it speaks of another problem. And the question I want to ask is, where does our responsibility to ourselves begin? The reason I ask this question rests solely on this article. This issue came up in the last general election. And it was enough for people to gasp, but it was not enough for people to be angry, and be disgusted, where they can put an end to some of these kind of practices and behavior. And when you really look at this whole thing, this clique mess, you have to look at it for what it really is and what it says about us as a people. Now, there are about 30,000 clique policy holders in Barbados. That means an average of 2,700 policy holders per constituency. Do you realize that if 20% of those policy holders had voted in favor of their policies in this company, we would have had a different result? For sure, the outcome in St. John would not have been any different, but a message would have been sent. St. John is an anomaly. Of course, it's an oddity. A lot of people are baffled at St. John, why St. John continues to behave the way it behaves. In the face of all of this, yet still the member for St. John, her electoral victory was even greater than the last time. It would have demonstrated that 20% of them had voted that they would have been unhappy about this income, but it didn't. That wasn't demonstrated. So I guess they were happy. That's the only conclusion that I can come to. And this is interesting, right? A politician's first act, his first motive is always self-preservation. That's always the underlying motive, self-preservation. But you know, this Clico thing, mess, and the result of the last general election showed me that we've got it upside down. That we as a people, we don't think our first motive should be, our first act should be self-preservation. And I go a bit further and looking back at the whole thing surrounding this and our thinking. And I want you to see this, how we are cynical, but why yet still we should not be cynical. Because we have allowed this type of political behavior in the political class to develop this type of culture that we see dependent upon them. Let me look at it, right? It is said all across this country that voters were paid $500 for a vote. $500. That is $100 a year for the next 5 years, right? At the same time, we give the politicians a job. After we accept the $500, we give them a job, and their first job is to put us out of the jobs. Now, $100 a year equates to 27 cents a day. Is this what the political class in this country thinks about us? That we are worth no more than 27 cents a day? They should not be able to pay us for a vote. First thing, you should not be taking money for your vote. Let them keep their monies. We take the $500, then the lights go out, the water turns off, or where's the we are unable to send our children to school. Again, the question I say, what does this say about us as a people? We've got it upside down. The people who we are calling our masters really are our servants. There's no doubt about that. They are servants, but we are content to make them believe that they are our masters. If we see it the other way around, that they are our servants, we don't have to sell our vote then. We've heard repeated from politicians about integrity legislation. There's a Sunday Sun article on February 1st. Represent integrity? That's the question I want to ask you. Does it represent integrity as part of the political class or the operatives or facilitators? We also heard of declaration of assets. Why haven't we not taken on these persons, aspiring politicians and politicians? Why have we taken them on and asked them to declare their assets before they enter politics, and even during their political lives? Why haven't we demanded integrity legislation? You know why? You know why we don't do that? Because you allow the politicians to set the agenda. The biggest threat to any politician is the conversation by the citizens concerning their future and the future of their country, and how that conversation relates to the behavior of the political class. It is time that we start this conversation so that we can look at ways and means of stamping out this kind of diabolical behavior and this self-serving culture that has developed in this country by the political class. And when I say we need serious national reform, we need it. And this is a good reason why we need it. But like anything else, that's a 9-day wonder. It will rise and fall in a few days, and it will be no more. We go on, not being able to pay our way. We're unable to feed our kids properly and to educate our children. Is this what we really want for this country? And they say we're some of the most intelligent people in the world, some of the most educated people in the world. The question got asked, what type of education have we had? What's the purpose of education if we have brought ourselves to this and we allow this to happen to us? Talk to us. Please talk to us. We are Refocusing Barbados, and we really want to hear your comments. We want to be able to deal with these issues because our country is in crisis. Serious crisis. Thank you. This has been Mark. Refocusing Barbados.